Reggie Miller's impact on the New York Knicks. If you're looking for a story of rivalry, redemption, and pure basketball drama that will keep you on the edge of your seat, then this video about Reggie Miller's impact on the New York Knicks is for you. We'll dive into the stats, the iconic moments, and the lasting legacy of one of the NBA's most intense player-team rivalries. Hey there again, hoop fanatics! Welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into one of the most electrifying rivalries in NBA history, Reggie Miller versus the New York Knicks. We'll explore how one man became the ultimate Knicks killer and left an indelible mark on Madison Square Garden. So grab your favorite jersey, settle in, and let's tip off this basketball saga. Now before we dive deeper, let's lay down some facts about this legendary rivalry. When I say Reggie Miller was the Knicks' nemesis, I'm not just shooting from the hip. He is not nicknamed the Knicks Killer for nothing. Believe me when I say it's a lot of daggers to the Knicks' heart. But let's break it down further. In playoff games at Madison Square Garden, Miller's average climbed to an astounding 27.8 points per game. He shot 42% from three-point range against the Knicks in the postseason, compared to his career playoff average of 39%. These numbers easily make Reggie Miller one of the most feared opponents in Knicks history. This makes us think that Miller had something special against the Knicks. But why though? Of course, Miller's shooting prowess is already a given. His career three-point percentage of 39.5% ranks him in NBA history. Now, apart from his deadly accuracy, Miller had a psychological edge over the Knicks that turned every game into a mental chess match. In fact, Miller's ability to get under the Knicks' skin was so potent that it often led to game-changing moments. Remember the infamous 1994 Eastern Conference Finals? Miller scored 25 points in the fourth quarter of Game 5, constantly trash-talking Spike Lee courtside. This performance wasn't just about basketball, it was psychological warfare at its finest. Now, the impact of Miller's rivalry with the Knicks went beyond just numbers. It became a cultural phenomenon that captivated fans and non-fans alike. When Miller stepped onto the court at Madison Square Garden, the entire arena held its breath, knowing something spectacular or heartbreaking, depending on your allegiance, was about to unfold. Okay, now what does this have to do with Miller's impact on the Knicks? Well, Miller's presence forced the Knicks to evolve. They had to adapt their defensive strategies, mental toughness, and even their roster decisions with Miller in mind. The Knicks' defensive rating against the Pacers during the Miller era was consistently worse than their overall defensive rating, showing how much he disrupted their usual game plan. So when Miller was on the court against the Knicks, it wasn't just a game, it was an event. But unlike many rivalries that fizzled out, this one seemed to intensify with each passing year. From 1993 to 2000, the Knicks and Pacers met in the playoffs 6 times, with Miller playing a crucial role in each series. This is why Knicks fans simultaneously feared and respected Miller. If you think about it, Miller essentially became the villain in the Knicks story, the obstacle they had to overcome to reach basketball glory. His presence in the Garden became so iconic that even years after his retirement, Knicks fans would boo when his name was mentioned. But wait, there's more to Miller's impact than just his on-court performances. Multiple aspects of Miller's rivalry with the Knicks have left a lasting impact on basketball culture. First, it elevated trash-talking to an art form. Miller's verbal jabs, especially his interactions with Spike Lee, became legendary. This added a new dimension to the game, showing how psychological warfare could be just as important as physical skill. The NBA even had to implement stricter rules on player-fan interactions following some of these incidents. Second, it showcased the power of a single player to dominate a team's psyche. The mere presence of Miller on the court could change the entire atmosphere in Madison Square Garden. This phenomenon has been studied by sports psychologists as a prime example of the mental aspect of competition. Dr. Patrick Cohn, a renowned sports psychologist, has used Miller's performances against the Knicks as a case study of mental toughness and thriving under pressure. Third, it contributed to the mystique of Madison Square Garden. Miller's performances there, especially his 8 points in 8.9 seconds in the 1995 playoffs, have become part of basketball lore. This added to the Garden's reputation as a stage where legends are made and broken. The NBA has since used footage from these games in promotional material, further cementing their place in basketball history. Now, I could go on and on about how Miller's rivalry with the Knicks shaped both his career and the Knicks' trajectory, but let's look at some specific moments that define this epic saga. The 1994 Eastern Conference Finals. Miller's 25-point fourth quarter in Game 5 is still considered one of the greatest greatest playoff performances ever. It wasn't just the points, it was the way he scored them, taunting Spike Lee and the entire Knicks fanbase with each basket. This game saw Miller shoot an incredible 5 for 5 from three-point range in the fourth quarter alone. The 1995 Eastern Conference semifinals. Miller's incredible 8 points in 8.9 seconds to steal Game 1 is etched in NBA history. This moment encapsulated everything about Miller's impact on the Knicks: his clutch shooting, his mental toughness, and his ability to silence the Garden crowd. The probability of such a comeback, down 6 points with less than 10 seconds left, was astronomically low, yet Miller made it happen. The 2000 Eastern Conference Finals. In what would be Patrick Ewing's last game as a Knick, Miller scored 34 points to lead the Pacers to victory. This game symbolized a changing of the guard in the East and the end of an era for the Knicks. Miller shot 50% from the field and 5 for 7 from three-point range in this decisive Game 6. It's fascinating, right? I'm sure basketball fans are loving these iconic moments that defined an era. But what was the long-term impact of this rivalry? Well, it shaped the identities of both Miller and the Knicks. For Miller, it cemented his reputation as a clutch performer and a player who thrived under pressure. His performances against the Knicks were a significant factor in his Hall of Fame induction in 2012. For the Knicks, it became a defining challenge that they ultimately couldn't overcome, leading to years of frustration and what-ifs. The Knicks' failure to win a championship during this era is often attributed, at least in part, to their inability to get past Miller and the Pacers. Moreover, this rivalry influenced how future players approached big games and hostile environments. Many current NBA stars, like Stephen Curry and Damian Lillard, have cited Miller's performances at the Garden as inspiration for their own clutch moments. So how can we sum up Miller's impact on the Knicks? He was more than just an opponent, he was a force of nature that shaped an entire era of Knicks basketball. His rivalry with the Knicks became a defining storyline of 1990s NBA basketball, influencing everything from player psychology to league rules on player-fan interactions. And that's all for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed our journey into the epic rivalry between Reggie Miller and the New York Knicks. It just goes to show that in sports, sometimes your greatest opponent can define your legacy as much as your victories. Before I go, I'd love to hear from you. What's your favorite Reggie Miller moment against the Knicks? Or if you're a Knicks fan, how did you feel watching Miller play against your team? Make sure to comment below and let's keep this basketball conversation going. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos diving into the greatest rivalries and moments in NBA history. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, keep that competitive spirit alive, and remember, in basketball, it's not over till it's over.